foolish thing was but a toy, for the rain it raineth every day, with a high ho, the wind and the rain, and the rain it raineth every day.
Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Wheel of Shakespeare Challenge, our first round for the month of March. I am here with John, Maggie, Henry, and Bill to perform impromptu performances of Shakespeare for you with randomly chosen by the wheel and based on the randomly chosen order. First, Maggie is going to perform for us first. I am on deck. I'll go second after Maggie. After Maggie does, let's bring the wheel up.
Well, hang on just a second. I thought I had opened MIT Shakespeare, but it's not. All right, then.
Okay.
Yes. There we go. Thank you. All right,
okay.
Thanks.
So we're spinning for Maggie. And Maggie is going to perform.
Opening 3-2.
2 starts with "Oh for a Horse with the Wings."
Act 3, Scene 2.
So whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I'm almost there. Hang on. I want to move it over. Okay. Oh, for a horse with wings! Hear'st thou, Pisanio? He is at Milford Haven. Read, and tell me how far 'tis thither. If one of mean affairs may plod it in a week, why may not I glide thither in a day? Then, true Pisanio, who longst like me to see thy lord, who longst let me bait, but not like me, yet longst, but in a fainter kind. Oh, not like me, for mine's beyond. Say and speak thick. Love's counselor should fill the bores of hearing to the smothering of the sense. How far is it to the same blessed Milford? And by the way, tell me how Wales was made so happy as to inherit such a haven. But first of all, how we may steal from hence, and for the gap that we shall make in time from our hence going and our return to excuse. Oh, but first, how get hence? Why should excuse be born or e'er begot? Oh, we'll talk of that thereafter. Prithee, speak. How many score of miles may we well ride twixt hour and hour?
Okay, excellent. So good job, Maggie. Now it is my turn, and let's see, on deck after me, Henry. Henry is going to perform after me after I perform. Oh, this is the Marcus from Titus Andronicus. I think I just added this one. Oh yes, this is discovering Lavinia. 2.4. Okay, here we go. Who is this? My niece? That flies away so fast? Cousin, a word, where is your husband? If I do dream, would all my wealth would wake me? If I do wake, some plant strike me down, that I may slumber in eternal sleep. Speak, gentle niece, what stern, ungentle hands have lopped and hewed and made thy body bare of her two branches, those sweet ornaments whose circling shadows kings have sought to sleep in, and might not gain so great a happiness as have thy love. Why dost not speak to me? Alas, a crimson river of warm blood, like to a bubbling fountain stirred with wind, doth rise and fall between thy rosed lips, coming and going with thy honey breath. But sure some Tereus hath deflowered thee, and lest thou shouldst detect him, cut thy tongue. Ah, now thou turn'st away thy face for shame, and notwithstanding all this loss of blood, as from a conduit with three issuing spouts, yet do thy cheeks look red as Titan's face, blushing to be encountered with a cloud. Shall I speak for thee? Shall I say 'tis so? Oh, that I knew thy heart, and knew the beast, that I might rail at him to ease my mind. Sorrow concealed, like an oven stop, doth burn the heart to cinders where it is. Fair Philomela, she but lost her tongue, and in a tedious sampler sowed her mind. But, lovely niece, that mean is cut from thee. A craftier Tereus cousin hast thou met, and he hath cut those pretty fingers off, that could have better sewed than Philomel. Oh, had the monster seen those lily hands tremble like aspen leaves upon a lute, and make the silken strings delight to kiss them, he would not then have touched them for his life. Or had he heard the heavenly harmony which the sweet tongue hath made, he would have dropped his knife and fell asleep as Cerberus at the Thracian poet's feet. Come, let us go, and make thy father blind, for such a sight will blind a father's eye. 1 hour's storm will drown the fragrant meads. What will whole months of tears thy father's eyes? Do not draw back, for we will mourn with thee. Oh, could our mourning ease thy misery? Okay. So up next we have Henry, and then John will perform after him. John is on deck, will go after Henry does.
Oh,
Was every woman in this manner rude?
one of my favorite
Yeah.
speeches.
So whenever you're ready.
Yes, hold on. Oh yeah, okay, good. Was ever woman in this humour wooed? Was ever woman in this humour won? I'll have her, but I will not keep her long. What? I that killed her husband and his father, to take her in her heart's extremest hate, with curses in her mouth, tears in her eyes, and bleeding witness of her hatred by, having God, her conscience, and these bars against me, and I nothing to back my suit at all, but the plain devil and dissembling looks, and yet to win her, all the world to nothing. Ha! Hath she forgot already that brave prince, Edward, her lord, whom I, some 3 months since, stabbed in my angry mood at Tewkesbury? A sweeter and a lovelier gentleman, framed in the prodigality of nature, young, valiant, wise, and no doubt right royal, the spacious world cannot again afford, and will she yet debase her eyes on me? That cropped the golden prime of this sweet prince, that made her widow to a woeful bed, on me, whose all not equals Edward's moiety, on me that halt and am unshapen thus? My dukedom to a beggarly denier, I do mistake my person all this while. Upon my life, she finds, although I cannot, myself to be a marvellous proper man. Albeit charges for a looking-glass, and entertain some score or two of tailors to study fashions, to adorn my body. Since I am crept in favour with myself, I will maintain it with some little cost. But first I'll turn yon fellow in his grave, and then return lamenting to my love. Shine out, fair sun, till I have bought a glass, that I may see my shadow as I pass.
Okay, awesome. Okay, Sheila just joined us. Glad that she made it. And actually, I had said that John was next, but Sheila's here. It's her turn. Welcome, Sheila. You will be doing... And then John, and then Bill. Sheila is going to do... Bolingbroke, King These Men. Richard II, Act 3, Scene 1 at the beginning.
Richard II.
Bring forth these men. So whenever you're ready, go.
I believe I did this recently. It looks quite familiar, dear. If you like, I can do it again.
Okay, I'll spin again if you like.
Yeah, I think that would be good. I had wonderful things last week. I'm so grateful for them.
Okay.
I'm optimistic.
Laurence, I think this is one that I'm not familiar with this one at all, I'll tell you the truth. I think I just recently added this. Begins, 'tis more than need, Act 4, Scene 3 of Love's Labor is Lost.
Okay, I'm sliding down. What's the first line, dear?
'Tis more than need.
Okay. Is it? Oh, there we go. Got it.
Okay, so whenever you're ready, go.
"'Tis more than need. Have at you then, affections, men at arms. Consider what you first did swear unto. To fast, to study, and to see no woman. flat treason against the kingly state of youth. Say, can you fast? Your stomachs are too young, and abstinence engenders maladies. And where that you have vowed to study, lords, in that each of you have forsworn his book, can you still dream and pore and thereon look? For when would you, my lord, or you, have found the ground of study's excellence without the beauty of a woman's face? From women's eyes this doctrine I derive. They are the ground, the books, the academs, from whence doth spring the true Promethean fire. While universal plodding poisons up the nimble spirits in the arteries, as motion and long-during action tires the sinewy vigor of the traveler. Now, for not looking on a woman's face, you have in that forsworn the use of eyes. And study too, the causer of your vow. For when is an author in the world teaches such beauty as a woman's eye? Learning is but an adjunct to ourself, and where we are our learning likewise is. Then when ourselves we see in ladies' eyes, do we not likewise see our learning there? We have made a vow to study, lords, and in that vow we have forsworn our books. For when would you, my liege, or you, in leaden contemplation, have found out such fiery numbers as the prompting eyes of beauty's tutors have enriched you with? Other slow arts entirely keep the brain. And therefore, finding barren practicers scarce show a harvest of their heavy toil. But love, first learned in a lady's eyes, lives not alone immured in the brain, but with the motion of all elements, courses as swift as thought in every power, and gives to every power a double power above their functions and their offices. It adds a precious seeing to the eye. A lover's eyes will gaze an eagle blind. A lover's ear will hear the lowest sound when the suspicious head of theft is stopped. Love's feeling is most soft and sensible than are the tender horns of cockled snails. Love's tongue proves dainty Bacchus gross in taste. For valor, is not love a Hercules still climbing trees in the Hesperides? Subtle as Sphinx, as sweet and musical as bright Apollo's lute strung with his hair. And when love speaks, the voice of all the gods makes heaven drowsy with the harmony. Never durst poet touch a pen to write until his ink were tempered with love's sighs. Oh, then his lines would ravish savage ears and plant in tyrants mild humility. From women's eyes this doctrine I derive. They sparkle still the right Promethean fire. They are the books, the arts, the academs that show, contain, and nourish all the world. Else none at all in aught proves excellent. Then fools you were these women to forswear, or, keeping what is sworn, you will prove fools. For wisdom's sake, a word that all men love, or for love's sake, a word that loves all men, or for men's sake, the authors of these women, or women's sake, by whom we men are men, let us once lose our oaths to find ourselves, or else we lose ourselves to keep our oaths. It is religion to be thus forsworn, for charity itself fulfills the law. And who can sever love from charity? Scene.
Okay, good introduction to a new one we hadn't seen before. I only recently added that to the wheel, so good job with that. Okay, so John is up, and then Bill is on deck, and then we'll spin for scenes. So John is going to do... Mistress Quickly, who's in Arthur's bosom. With Act 2, Scene 3.
Okay, this is, which one is it?
Henry V, Act 2, Scene 3. Mistress Quickly, he's in Arthur's bosom.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. The act again, please. The act.
Act 2, Scene 3.
Act 2, Scene 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Nay, sure, he's not in hell. He's in Arthur's bosom if ever man went to Arthur's bosom. It made a finer end and went away had it been any Christian child. It parted even just between 12 and 1, even at the turning of the tide. For after, I saw him fumble with the sheets and play with flowers and smile upon his fingers' ends. I knew there was but one way. For his nose was as sharp as a pen, and he babbled of green fields. How now, Sir John, quoth I, what man, be of good cheer? So he cried out, God, 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 3 or 4 times. Now I, to comfort him, bid him he should not think of God. I hope there was no need to trouble himself with any such thoughts yet. So I paid him lay more clothes on his feet. I put my hand into the bed and felt them. They were as cold as any stone. Then I felt to his knees, and they were as cold as any stone. And so upward and upward, and all was as cold as any stone.
Okay, thank you, John. Bill will do our last monologue before we spin for some 2- and 3-person scenes. And Bill is going to do... Oh, Prospero with a couple games on the line. And it starts. Act 4, Scene 1, it's about 158 lines in.
Okay.
With our rebels. Okay, so whenever you're ready, go.
Okay. Does it start with those words?
No, it actually ends with them. I think it's be cheerful, sir. Our revels now are ended. I think is how it starts.
Okay. You do look, my son, in a moved sort, as if you were dismayed. Be cheerful, sir. Our revels now are ended. These are actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits, and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all that it inherit, shall dissolve, and like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a wreck behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with the sleep. Sir, I am vexed. Bear with my weakness. My brain is troubled. Be not disturbed with my infirmity. If it be pleased, retire into my cell, and there repose. A turn or two I'll walk, to still my beating mind.
Okay, great. All right, so let's find some scenes for the 6 of us to do today. Let's up to the temple. We've got now Prospero and Miranda. This is Prospero and Miranda in Act 1, Scene 2. The wheel is really stuck on the compass right now. So Act 1, Scene 2, and then also Act 2, Scene 1. Antonio, you know what? This should not be. We did this just last week, so that should not be. So strike that. That's a mistake. That should have been taken off the wheel, at least temporarily. So Prospero and Miranda in Act 1, Scene 2. Then Romeo and Juliet. That's the 3 people in the scene: Romeo, Juliet, and the nurse. So that's 5 roles, and then so the sixth choice will be to do a second monologue. So the 6 choices: Prospero, Miranda, Romeo, Juliet, nurse, or a second monologue. And going in reverse order, Bill gets the first choice of those. What would you like, Bill?
Romeo.
Bill. John, what would you like?
Well, I think I'll try Juliet.
Okay, John, Juliet. Henry, what would you like?
Prospero, please.
Henry will be Prospero. Shelia.
I'll do the nurse.
Shelia will be the nurse. And then I will. Okay, it's between Miranda or so. I'll do a second monologue to close, and so that leaves Maggie to do Miranda. So.
Okay, there's no Juliet in the scene. So John took Juliet, but there is no. I don't think Juliet's in that scene. It's the friar, it's the nurse, and Romeo.
Oh, maybe I wrote it down wrong? Let me see.
Friar, not Juliet. Okay.
Did I write?
You said Juliet, and Juliet's not in that scene. So
I'm
John
sorry.
may want to choose something else.
Was I wrong about how many characters are in that scene at all, or did I just put the wrong name down?
Well, when you showed it, it said the nurse, the friar, and Romeo. But when you said it out loud,
the friar. So yeah. So John took Julia. John, are you? I accidentally. Are you okay with doing the friar instead?
Sure.
Okay,
that's a good part.
So yeah, Romeo the friar. Yeah, that's my mistake. I just wrote it down wrong. It should have been Romeo the friar and the nurse.
Yeah. I'm in the first scene, Miranda. You said.
Yeah. So we'll start.
And who's Prospero?
Henry is Prospero.
Okay.
So
I'm getting there. Hang on.
So it's Prospero,
Tempest.
Miranda.
1, 2. Oh, I don't know what happens with MIT Shakespeare. It sometimes takes a long time to get to the actual play. I don't know why.
With the Tempest. So
right. Okay. Act 1, Scene 2.
Okay. So
and Miranda starts. Henry, I'm not looking at the screen. Are you ready?
Yes.
If by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters in this roar, allay them. The sky, it seems, would pour down, striking pitch, but that the sea, mounting to the welkin's cheek, dashes the fire out. Oh, I have suffered with those that I saw suffer. The brave vessel, who had no doubt some noble creature in her, dashed to all pieces. Oh, the cry did knock against my very heart. Poor souls, they perished. Had I been any god of power, I would have sunk the sea within the earth, or ere it should that good ship so have swallowed and the frotting souls within her.
Be collected. No more amazement. Tell your piteous heart there's no harm done.
Oh, woe the day!
No harm. I have done nothing but in care of thee, my dear one, thee, my daughter, who art ignorant of what thou art, naught knowing of whence I am, nor that I am more better than Prospero, master of a full poor cell, and thy no greater father.
More to know did never meddle with my thoughts.
'Tis time I should inform thee, father. Lend thy hand and pluck my magic garment from me. So. Lie there, my art. Wipe thou thine eyes. Have comfort. The direful spectacle of the wreck, which touched the very virtue of compassion in thee, I have with such provision in mine art, so safely ordered that there is no soul, no, not so much perdition as an hair pitted to any creature in the vessel, which thou heardst cry, which thou sawest sink. Sit down, for thou must now know thy father, for thou must now know father.
You have often begun to tell me what I am, but stopped and left me to a bootless inquisition, concluding, stay, not yet.
The hour's now come. The very minute bids thee ope thine ear, obey, and be attentive. Canst thou remember a time before we came into this cell? I do not think thou canst, for then thou wast not out 3 years old.
Certainly, sir, I can.
By what? By any other house or person, if any thing the image tell me that hath kept with thy remembrance?
'Tis far off, and rather like a dream than an assurance that my remembrance warrants. Had I not 4 or 5 women once that tended me?
Thou hadst, and more, Miranda. But how is it that this lives in my mind? What seest thou else in the dark backward and abysm of time? If thou rememberest aught ere thou camest here, how thou camest here thou mayest.
But that I do not.
12 years since, Miranda, 12 years since, thy father was the Duke of Milan and a prince of power.
Sir, are not you my father?
My mother was a piece of virtue, and she said thou wast my daughter. And thy father was Duke of Milan, and thou hast only heir, and princess no worse issued.
Oh, the heavens! What foul play had we that we came from thence? Or blessed was we did?
Both, my girl, by foul play, as thou sayest, we were heaved thence, but blessedly holp hither.
Oh, my heart bleeds to think of the teen that I have turned you to, which is from my remembrance. Please you, father.
My brother and thy uncle called Antonio, I pray thee mark me that a brother should be so perfidious. He whom next thyself of all the world I loved, and to him put the manage of my state, as at that time through all the signories it was the first, and Prospero the prime duke, being so reputed in dignity, and for the liberal arts without a parallel. Those being all my study, the government I cast upon my brother, and to my state grew stranger, being transported and wrapped in secret studies. Thy false uncle, dost thou attend me?
Sir, most heedfully.
Being once perfected how to grant suits, how to deny them, who to advance and who to trash, for overtopping new created the creatures that were mine, I say, or changed them, or else new formed them. Having both the key of officer and office, set all hearts in the state to what tune pleased his ear, that now he was the ivy which had hid my princely trunk, and sucked my verdure out on't. Thou attend'st not?
Oh, good sir, I do.
I pray thee, mark me. I, thus neglecting worldly ends, all dedicated to closeness and the bettering of my mind with that which, but by being so retired, or prized all popular rate, in my false brother awaked an evil nature, and my trust, like a good parent, did beget of him a falsehood in his contrary as great as my trust was, which he indeed no limit, no confidence, sans bound. He being thus lauded, not only with what my revenue yielded, but what my power might else extract, like one who, having into truth by telling of it, made such a sinner of his memory, to credit his own lie, he did believe he was indeed the Duke. Out of the substitution and excruciating the out of the substitution and executing the outward face of royalty with all prerogative. Hence his ambition growing. Dost thou hear?
Your tale, sir, would cure deafness.
To have no screen between the part he played and him he played it for, he needs will be absolute Milan. Me, poor man, my library was dukedom large enough. Of temporal royalties, he thinks me now incapable. Confederates, so dry he was for sway with the king of Naples, to give him annual tribute, to do homage, subject his coronet to his crown, and bend his dukedom yet unbowed. Alas, poor Milan, to most ignoble stooping.
Oh, the heavens!
Mark his condition and the event. Then tell me if this might be a brother.
I should sin to think but nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad sons.
Now the condition. The king of Naples, being an enemy to me inveterate, hearkens my brother's suit, which was that he, in lieu of premise of homage, and I know not how much tribute, should presently extirpate me and mine out of my dukedom, and confer fair Milan with all the honours on my brother. Whereon the treacherous army, levied one midnight, fated to the purpose, did Antonio open the gates of Milan, and in the dead of darkness the ministers for the purpose hurried thence, me and thy crying self.
Alack, for pity! I, not remembering how I cried out then, will cry it o'er again. It is a hint that wrings mine eyes to it.
Hear a little further, and then I'll bring thee to the present business which now upon us, without the which this story were most impertinent.
Wherefore did they not that hour destroy us?
Well demanded, wench. My tale provokes that question. dear. They durst not, so dear, the love my people bore me, nor set a mark so bloody on this business, but with colours fairer painted their foul ends. In few they hurried us aboard a bark, bore us some leagues to sea, where they prepared a rotten carcass of a boat, not rigged, nor tackle, sail, nor mast. The very rats instinctively had quit it. There they hoist us to cry to the sea that roar to us, to sigh to the winds whose pity, sighing back again, did us but loving wrong.
Alack, what trouble was I then to you?
Oh, a cherubim thou wast that did preserve me. Thou didst smile, infused with a fortitude from heaven, where I have decked the sea with drops full salt under my burden groan, which raised in me an undergoing stomach to bear up against what should ensue.
Well, how came we ashore?
By providence divine. Some food we had, and some fresh water that a noble Neapolitan Gonzalo, out of his charity, being then appointed master of this design, did give us with rich garments, linens, stuffs, and necessaries, which since have steadied much. So of his gentleness, knowing I loved my books, he furnished me from mine own library with volumes that I prize above my dukedom.
Would I might ever see that man.
Now, arise. Sit still, and hear the last of our sea sorrow. Here in this island we arrived, and here have I, thy schoolmaster, made thee more profit than other princesses can that have more time for vainer hours and tutors not so careful.
Heavens, thank you for it. And now I pray you, sir, for still 'tis beating in my mind, your reason for raising this sea storm?
No, thus far forth. By accident most strange, bountiful fortune, now my dear lady hath mine enemies brought to this shore. And by my prescience I find my zenith doth depend upon a most auspicious star, whose influence if now I court not, but omit, my fortunes will ever after droop. Here cease more questions. Thou art inclined to sleep. 'Tis a good dullness, and give it way. I know thou canst not choose. Come away, my servant, come. I am ready now. Approach my Ariel, come.
Okay, great job, you guys. Okay, so now we have the Romeo and Juliet scene, and the nurse doesn't come, so it's actually going to be John, Bill, and Shelia. The nurse doesn't come in till the end, and actually when it starts, Romeo isn't in yet. So I'm going to start with just John in the scene, and then I'll add the other two when the time is right. John, are you ready to start?
Yes.
Okay.
Romeo, come forth, thou fearful man. Affliction is enamored of thy parts, and thou art wedded to calamity.
Father, what news? What is the princess doom? What sorrow craves acquaintance at my hand that I yet know not?
Too familiar is my dear son with such sour company. I bring thee tidings of the prince's doom.
What less than doomsday is the prince's doom?
A gentler judgment vanished from his lips. Not body's death, but body's banishment.
Ah, banishment. Be merciful, say death, for exile hath more terror in his look, much more than death. Do not say banishment.
Hence from Verona art thou vanished. Be patient, for the world is broad and wide.
There is no world without Verona walls, but purgatory, torture, hell itself. Hence banished is banished from the world, and the world's exile is death. Then banished is death mistermed. Calling death banishment, thou cuttest my head off with a golden axe and smilest upon the stroke that murders me.
O deadly sin, O rude unthankfulness. Thy fault our law calls death, But the kind prince, taking thy part, hath brushed aside the law and turned that black word death to banishment. This is dear mercy, and thou seest it not.
'Tis torture and not mercy. Heaven is here where Juliet lives, and every cat and dog and little mouse, every unworthy thing live here in heaven and may look on her, but Romeo may not. More validity, more honorable state, more courtship lies in carrion flies than Romeo. They may seize on the white wonder of dear Juliet's hand and steal immortal blessing from her lips, who even in pure and vestal modesty still blushes, thinking their own kisses sin. But Romeo may not. He is banished. Flies may do this, but I from this must fly. They are free men, but I am banished. And sayest thou yet that exile is not death? Hadst thou no poison mix, no sharp ground knife, no sudden mean of death, though they're so mean, but banished to kill me? Banished? Oh, Friar, the damned use that word in hell. The damned use that word in hell. Howlings attend. How hast thou the heart, being divine, a ghostly confessor, a sin absolver, and my friend professed to mangle me with that word, banished?
Thou fond madman, hear me but speak a word.
Oh, thou wilt speak again of banishment.
I'll give thee the armor to keep off that word. Adversity sweet milk, philosophy to comfort thee, though thou art banished.
Yet banished. Hang up philosophy, unless philosophy can make a Juliet, displant a town, reverse a prim's doom. It helps not, it prevails not. Talk no more.
Oh, then I see that madmen have no ears.
How should they, when that wise men have no eyes?
Let me dispute with thee of thy estate.
Thou canst not speak of that thou dost not feel. Wert thou as young as I, Juliet thy love, an hour but married, Tybalt murdered, doting like me, and like me banished, then mightest thou speak, then mightest thou tear thy hair and fall upon the ground as I do now, taking the measure of an unmade grave.
Arise, one knocks. Good Romeo, hide thyself.
Not I, unless the breath of heartsick groans, mist-like enfold me from the search of eyes.
Hark, how they knock. Who's there? Romeo, arise, thou wilt be taken. Stay a while. Stand up. Run to my study. By and by, God's will. What simpleness is this? I come, I come. Who knocks so hard? Whence come you? What's your will?
Let me come in, and you shall know my errand. I come from Lady Juliet.
Welcome, then.
Oh, Holy Friar, tell me, Holy Friar, where is my lady's ward? Where's Romeo?
They're on the ground with his own tears made drunk.
Oh, he is even in my mistress' case. Just in her case. Oh, hideous predicament. Even so cries she, blubbering and weeping, weeping and blubbering. Stand up, stand up, and you be a man for Juliet's sake, for her sake, rise and stand. Why should you fall into so deep an oh?
Nurse.
Oh, sir, oh, that's the end of it all.
Spakest thou, Juliet? How is it with her? Does she not think me an old murderer? Now I have stained the childhood of our joy with blood removed but little from her own. Where is she? And how doth she? And what says my concealed lady to our cancelled love?
Oh, she says nothing, sir, but weeps and weeps, and now falls on her bed and then starts up, and Tybalt calls, and then on Romeo cries, and then falls down again.
As if that name shot from the deadly level of a gun did murder her. As that name's cursed hand murdered her kinsman. Oh, tell me, friar, tell me, in what vile part of this anatomy doth my name lodge? Tell me that I may sack the hateful mansion.
Hold thy desperate hand. Art thou a man? Thy form cries out thou art. Thy tears are womanish. Thy wild acts denote the unreasonable fury of a beast, unseemly woman in a seeming man, or ill-beseeming beast in seeming both. Thou hast amazed me. By my holy order, I thought thy disposition better tempered than hast thou slain Tybalt. Wilt thou slay thyself, and stay thy lady too that lives in thee, by doing damned hate upon thyself? Why railst thou on thy birth, the heaven and earth, since birth and heaven and earth all three do meet in thee at once, which thou at once wouldst lose? Fie, fie, thou shamest thy shape, thy love, thy wit, which like a usurer abounds, and uses none through you. In love. Why am I getting an echo? Thy noble shape is form of a man, digressing from the valor of a man, thy dear love sworn but hollow perjury, killing that love which thou hast vowed to cherish. Thy wit, thy ornament to shape and love, misshapen in the conduct of them both, like powder in a skitless soldier's flask, is set afire by thine own ignorance, and thou dismembered with thine own defense. What? Rouse thee, man! Thy Juliet is alive, for whose dear sake thou wast but lately dead. There art thou happy. Tybalt would kill thee, but thou slewest Tybalt. There art thou happy too. The law that threatened death becomes thy friend and turns it to exile. There art thou happy. A pack of blessings lights upon thy back. Happiness courts thee in her best array. But, like a misbehaved and sullen wench, thou pour'st upon the fortune of thy love. Take heed, for such die miserable. Go, get thee to thy love, as was decreed. Ascend her chamber hence, and comfort her. But look thou, stay not till the watch be set, for then thou canst not pass to Mantua, where thou shalt live, till we can find a time to blaze your marriage, reconcile your friends, beg pardon of the prince, and call thee back with 200,000 times more joy than thou wentst forth in lamentation. Go before, nurse, commend me to thy lady, and bid her hasten all the house to bed, which heavy sorrow makes them apt into. Romeo is coming.
Oh, Lord, I could have stayed here all the night to hear good counsel. Oh, what learning is, my Lord. I'll tell my lady.
Do so and bid my sweet prepare to chide. How well my comfort is revived by this.
Go ahead. Good night. And here stands all your state. Either be gone before the watch be set, or by the break of day descry from hence, sojourn in Mantua. I'll find out your man, and he shall signify from time to time every good hap to you that chances here. Give me thy hand. 'Tis late. Farewell. Good night.
But that a joy pass, joy calls out on me. If it were a grief so brief to part with thee. Farewell.
Hey, thanks everybody. That was great. Okay, so lastly, I'm the only one that wasn't prepared to sing. I opted to do a second monologue, so I'll spin for that, and then we'll call it a day. My second monologue is going to be But to be thus is nothing. To be thus is nothing, but to be safely thus. Our fears in Banquo stick deep. In his royalty of nature reigns that which would be feared. 'Tis much he dares, and to that dauntless temper of his mind he hath a wisdom that doth guide his valor to act in safety. There is none but he whose being I do fear, and under him my genius is rebuked, as it is said Mark Antony's was by Caesar. He chid the sisters when first they put the name of king upon me, and bade them speak to him. Then, prophet-like, they hailed him father to a line of kings. Upon my head they placed a fruitless crown, and put a barren sceptre in my gripe, thence to be wrenched with an unlineal hand, no son of mine succeeding. If be so, for Banquo's issue have I filed my mind. For them, the gracious Duncan, have I murdered, put rancors in the vessel of my peace, only for them, and mine eternal jewel given to the common enemy of man, to make them kings, the seed of Banquo kings. Rather than so come fate into the list, and champion me to the utterance. Who's there? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for your great performances. It's been fun. We'll see you guys same time next week for the next round of Wheel of Shakespeare Challenge. Take care. Bye, everybody.